So hello, everyone. This is Joan Berg with Risk and Safety Solutions. We are going to be providing a demo of the Inspect dashboard for you this afternoon. You may have noticed we've got everyone's audio muted. The purpose of that is to make sure that the quality of the audio on the call is as good as we possibly can have it. We are recording this call so that we can share it with folks that were unable to attend after the demo today. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat feature. We will be answering all questions at the end of the demo. So I am going to turn the demo over to Danny Lee. He is going to be providing our dashboard demo for us. So give me 1 second while I get the speaker a little bit closer to Danny.
So hopefully everyone can hear me. So
ask them to type in and make sure they can hear you.
Yes. And some people are typing in. Everyone can hear me? Yes? Good. All right. So my name is Danny Lee, and I'm a business intelligence developer here. I've been at this department for about 10 months. So let's get rolling into our demo. So when you first log into our portal, you can see that there's a welcome message, and any additional questions, just email service@risksafetysolutions.com. So on the top left navigation bar, if you click on this button, you can actually see all the reports that are listed. Right now, I only have Inspect currently, and if you click the main dashboard, it will bring you into our dashboard group. So this is our dashboard for Inspect currently. We are using Microsoft Power BI. That's the tool that we are really fond of using. It's been around for about 3 years, and they currently are throwing even more and more resources into developing this tool. So in the near future, there might be other things that we can actually display data in a creative way for you all to see. So with the features on Inspect, on the left-hand side right here, these are all the slicers. Location, inspection started, programs, configuration, inspected, categories, inspector, route to, and results. The top right here are we call focus numbers, and then we have charts. So by going into the slicers, we can actually see that there are multiple locations. And there is a scroll button that you can actually go down if there is more than one under your view. There's also the search bar right here that you can actually type in certain locations if you want it to get filtered down, and clear it to show the whole full list. There's also this clear button, this old eraser button that you can clear all this what you have selected. There's also this focus mode right here that you can click. For some of the slicers that we have, the names are fairly long, just like this inspected slicer. You can kind of read most of it, but then you can't read the full description. As 1500 Owens, you can kind of see that there's many of them. If you hover over one, it gives you the full name of that inspected location or inspected department. Thank you. Or you can do a search for it. Also, you can actually hit this focus mode button, which displays it full screen. And once you click it on it again, it actually shows you the full name of each of the departments. To go back, you click on this back to report. The top is the focus numbers. It kind of tells the story of what has happened in Inspect since each location has been using it. For right now, my view shows everybody that has been using Inspect, all the campuses and medical centers. So as of right now, or as of yesterday night when the data refreshed, there has been 1,318 inspections a total checklist items of 29,830. Out of those total checklist items, 27,496 were compliant, 2,334 were not compliant, and the percentage is 92.18% compliant. And out of all of those, there were 39,776 findings. So that's basically our story that we tried to create to tell what has happened. On this bottom part right here, let me move this down a little bit more. We have a chart broken down by each of the locations. Some of the users will have one location, some others will have multiple. So if you only have one location, you only would see one bar that is specific to your access. Let's see. So we can actually drill down into each of these. So this is a top view or overview of everything, all inspection across all locations. So if we wanted to drill into a specific location, like UCSB has been graciously enough to give us permission to display their data, we can right-click on the chart, drill down into the data, and it brings us to the year level. You can see that there are 9,164 findings. And if we hover onto this section of the bar, 2,314 were NA, and 942 findings were not compliant. 800 about was not compliant, and 89.8% compliant overall. And out of that is 1,242 findings. So when we drill into UCSB, it gives us the year. So if you have multiple years, it can give you a sense of percent compliant over each year. And if we drill down even more, it actually breaks it down by quarter. And as we keep drilling down, we can go into months, where you can see in April, it was 88.3% compliant. In May, 92.3% compliant. And in June, 68.5% compliant. And let's take a look at June. If we drill down to June, it gives us individual days that each of the inspection has taken place. So if we go to 6/20 and drill down into there, we can see that UCSB Fire Safety was the program that was inspected. And if we go down a little further, it was the arts building. And if we even go a little further beyond that, it gives us the configuration list that was used. And one more level, it gives us the categories that the inspection was used on. So each of these building exterior was 100% compliant. Interior was also there. Clearance and access was 100%. Compressed gas was the one finding. And electrical and so forth. So this is the most detailed level for this overview that we can get down to. To go drill back up, you would just click drill up, right click drill up, all the way, oh, I went down.
There you go.
And
There it is.
there we go. They shifted it. And all the way back up. There's a simpler button too to press, this top left corner right here, which is the drill up button that you can also press. And now we're back to UCSB. There's another way to kind of not drill into an individual specific point or bar. It's show next level. If you show next level, it kind of gives you a 2017, which looks very similar. But if you go down to the next level on that, it gives you the quarters. So if there's multiple quarters, like in 2016 and 2017, those will be grouped in quarter one. We continue, wrong one. Go back up. Continue to go down to the next level. It kind of gives you a waterfall feel of each of the months. And you can see everything January to June. So you didn't really have to see only a certain quarter. You could see a whole entire year if need be. I'll go all the way back up. If we wanted to see the expand to next level, this gives you an overview of everything. So you can kind of see that they kind of break it down by UCSB 2017. If there was a UC 2016, it would be right on to the side of it. And if we keep expanding down to next level, you can kind of see quarter one, quarter two. And to the next would be the months. So this gives you a lot more a flexibility to see the data the way you need it to see the data. And yeah, if you have any questions about this page, make sure to type in the chat, the overview tab, and your question so we can quickly refer back to the question later on. So we'll go into the Programs tab. The Programs tab provides the analyst analyzing the inspection from the starting of each of the individual programs. So we'll use UCSB again. The focus numbers is the same.
Can I interrupt just for 1 second? Hi, this is Joan again. I just wanted to clarify that a program could be, it could be a series of checklists. For instance, at UC Santa Barbara, we have multiple programs and each program might have several checklists. So Santa Barbara Lab Safety has 2, Santa Barbara Shop Safety has 4 checklists, and so on. So just think of a program, it could be one or a collection of checklists that we group together for a very good reason on your end when you help us configure the data.
So going back to the Programs tab, this gives you a good view of basically all your programs within that certain location. So you can see which one is performing well, which one needs more work on. For the Shop Safety program, we can also drill down into it to see how are they doing. So with this with the drill down from program to configuration, you can see that Airlift and Shop Safety has right now 39 inspections on the Shop Safety, and I think there's about 1 on the Airlift portion. So if we drill into Shop Safety, we can see that the categories of each of those configurations and the percentage of compliance. So if you needed to say PPE, all the PPE questions, we would actually drill down into PPE. And here's all the checklist item questions and seeing how each of those were performing by compliance. And yeah, and this is our most detailed level for this report right here. So if I click on this button right here, it drills all the way back up. And if you only want to see this in a presentation, and you can hit this focus mode right here, which will full screen. The focus mode is available on most of our charts and focus numbers also. And you just click back to reports to get back to the original.
Danny, what if they had gone down and they saw the level of detail where they could see each of the let's say each of the questions on a checklist category? What if they wanted to export that data to Excel?
So for export is more on the comprehensive side, but we can also do it here at a more rolled up level. So if we go down to, we'll say, general questions that you see, There's three little buttons on the top right corner. You click on more options and export data. Once you hit export data, it actually saves it as a CSV file, which I can open up. And now it gives you the program name that we were on, the configuration, the category, the finding descriptions, the result for each, the findings, and the percentage, and how many inspections was it on. So that gives us the Programs tab. A lot of people have, at least from our phase one, has been asking for the question about what are my top findings. So we have created a top tab that gives you, by default, the top 3 for each of the locations. So this tab takes a little bit to load. You can see this little ring moving right now. It's basically saying that it's loading and bringing the data to the UI. This is one of the most intensive calculations that we have in this dashboard. So it takes a little bit of time for it to load. Actually, let's speed it up by doing that. So on the bottom portion, we can see that there is a detail portion that has loaded. This gives you basically a detailed list of all the not compliant that is shown on the top. So for UCSB in 2017, the top 3 findings are listed here. They're ranked by they're ranked by basically number of findings that were found in 2017. And the checklist not compliant is 18 out of the total items of 18. As you can see that there were, on rank number 2, 23 were not compliant and 35 out of 35, which gave it a percentage of compliant of 34.3%, and which 24 findings were found. So if we wanted to actually see if what was top findings in Q1, we would actually go to this quarter slicer and press it. This would actually update this table right here and give you the information of what was the top 3 within Q1. So as that is loading, and it was first aid. And we see that there's 18 findings. And next question is, what were those 18 findings and what locations were they at or department? If you click on this and highlight it, the bottom detail list actually updates and gives you all the inspected departments, the configuration, the description, not compliant. And if you scroll all the way to the left, who the inspector was, when it was sent to RP, and the incident create date, and a lot of more information, and if it was corrected on site or not. This can all be exported also if you click on the 3 dots, the more button, and export data. It exports it into CSV, and now you have all this data in a CSV file that you can actually use this as you needed. So if you want to actually see more than 3, you can actually click on, using this slicer, click on, I want to see top 5 instead of top 3. But by default, it is, once you click on this page, it's only top 3 because of performance. So if we click 5, it's going to take a little bit longer, but because we only have 1 location, it should load quickly. Also on these slicers, you can actually look at a certain location if you want to. We can search for just art, and basically any word that has, or any text that has art in here, we can actually, it returns a list of everything that has those characters in it. So now that our data has loaded, you can see that 5 is repeated multiple times because of the number of findings that were found in quarter 1. So that's basically our top tab. In the average tab, it provides a summary of average of inspection checklist items and findings. So we'll filter by UCSB again. So for the inspection, the average days to complete was 19.52 days of the 271 completed inspections. The checklist items for days resolved are the average of 23.41 days for each of the full checklist items to be resolved. For each findings, it took 22.91 days to be resolved. For checklist items per inspection, there were 21 checklist items per inspection. And then there were 33.3 findings per inspection. So this kind of gives you the overview of average how many checklist items and findings per inspection. For the unresolved tab, the unresolved tab provides a total number of unresolved inspections and the number of checklist items and findings that are incompleted in a certain time frame. So with this, I'm going to filter by UCSB again. There are 88 inspections currently that has findings that are exceeding 30 days of resolution. Of that, basically 358 checklist items are exceeding 30 days currently. And for findings, 414 findings. If for each person's needs, if the exceeding is less, you can actually change it to, we'll say 25 days. So as the report changes and updates, now we can see that there's 90 inspections and 431 checklist items and 529 items or findings that have not been yet resolved. If I click on this portion right here, it kind of gives us the detailed portion of all the unresolved findings. I'm going to focus mode, and you can see that for the location and inspected area checklist and the description, what has not been completed. You can export this and basically make a note of what has happened or what needs to be done in Excel if need be. In the Resolve tab, provides a total number of resolved inspections and numbers of checklist items and findings that are completed during a certain time. So from inspection started from this, June 17th of last year to June 23rd of this year. We'll change that to that. There has been 145 completed inspections, 405 checklist items, and 445 findings that have been resolved. And this detail portion down here gives you a detailed report of what has been resolved so far. If we only want to see the beginning of the year, we can type in first of the year. And you can see that the inspections are 145 inspections. And we can see also all the resolution that has been completed within that time frame. Our next tab is percent compliant. Provides a summary of percentage compliant across all location program checklists and categories. Right now it's very messy because I have all the locations, but when you are viewing your certain location, it'll be nice and clean. Right here, location would be one single dot. For 2017, it's 89.8% compliant and 373 inspections. You can see that the programs that we have saw before in the programs tab, all the programs broken out and the percent of compliance for each program. So if there are multiple years, you will see an additional line and to see how each year fares to the next. We also have this table right here that does checklist. So we can see the checklist percent compliant throughout each year and also categories. Our next tab, comparisons, provides a comparative analysis of findings by tags and route to. So this is a new visual that we have been using called word cloud. You can see what has been used the most. Finding by tag we'll say high. If we click on high for UCSB, actually, there were 73 inspections that used this word in the tag, and and on 807 checklist items and 906 findings. If I uncheck it and click on facility, we can see that the route to portion that is the most used is facilities, which was on 90 inspections, 1,195 checklist items, and 1,686 findings. And once we have more years, it can actually show a trend of how each of the route to or tags are being used. So our last tab is our comprehensive. This gives you many slicers to use to kind of get to the data that you need and want. We have the same slicers that we had before, but we also added tags, the route to, finding type, building, floors, and rooms. So if I wanted to actually look at UCSB and their shop safety and their shop safety configuration, and we'll say all the, what is there? A few of these findings that I'm very interested in. This will filter out the comprehensive portion on the bottom and gives me all the information, very detailed information of what my parameters were in the slicers. And you can see that I mostly selected the training machine categories, and it gives me the finding description, if they were compliant or not, or NA, the status of the status of that finding, which one is still not resolved. And on the inspectors and the route to information, and the incident create date, which I need to change to finding create. Another way to look at using this comprehensive is for inspectors to find out what inspections have you been on. You'll see clearing all these filters right here. And inspectors, and we'll use Joan name and see what inspection she was on.
Uh-oh.
And she inspected the test stuff, so we can see that all the information that all the inspectors' name is Joan. And with the inspector portion of it, it's if you choose an inspector, it will show you all the reports that that inspector was on. So the inspector list might have more than just the single inspector that you selected. It's all on the reports that they were on. So that actually concludes my demo. Do we questions?
Hi, everyone. This is Joan again. Please send in a chat to make sure you can hear me. Perfect. All right. So I am going to take a few minutes to just go through and answer some of the questions that have come in. It's not too late. If you have more questions, feel free to just keep bringing them in. And bear with me while I scroll through our chat log and pull up the ones that apply. So one of the first general questions that we have is about access. And so access to the dashboard is provided based upon your role within the system. And currently it would be admins that are listed for a given program. So for instance, UC Santa Barbara Environmental Health and Safety Program may have, 3 or 4 admins. Anyone with that role will have access to this dashboard. So hopefully that is helpful. Let me look at this next one. Hang on. I was asked if this was available on the Business Intelligence website or within Inspect. And Danny did mention at the beginning, we currently have our dashboards located in 2 different platforms. What we're looking at now is the new Power BI platform, and our newer dashboards are going to be available there, and it's different from what our existing dashboards are in. They're eventually all going to be in the same place, but right now we're kind of straddling the 2. So I will share with this group after the call. We've got, Danny has it pulled up here, and we'll share access information. I'll condense all of this into a communication after the call. But if you're already using some of our dashboards, you're probably not going to see Inspect listed in there. It's in a separate place. Hang on. Matt Carlson at San Francisco asked about access and also the ability to receive scheduled pushed reports. And currently that is not available. But as I did mention, admins for all programs can go in and create anything on an as-need basis. That is something we could consider for the future, but it's currently not available. If you do have requests for pushed reports, definitely communicate those to me, and I'll share that with our BI team. We had a question from Steve Leverage at Santa Cruz about, we were looking at specific questions within a checklist, and I think his question was that the wording on a specific checklist, some of them could be worded in a positive mean, and others on the same checklist could be in a negative mean, and depending on how you configure the wording of a specific checklist question might affect how the metrics are viewed. And I think that's probably a good thing to point out. And the only thing I'm going to say about that is you would just want consistency across a checklist, just to make sure that when you're looking at your data, it's all going to be fairly representative. So just something to keep in mind. Hang on. And I believe those are the only questions that we have for the demo. So as I said, we are going to share the recording of today's demo. If you have further questions or comments, please feel free to communicate with us. Happy to answer anything that we can for you. I did also want to mention that we're going to have written tutorials available, probably within about a 2-week time frame from today. And so look forward to that. We're hopeful that this dashboard brings a lot of value to you as users. We realize that the whole purpose for having an inspection tool is as a data collection warehouse, and you want to be able to report on the data that's been collected. So we're very excited about the version 2 of this dashboard and the additional features that it's going to provide. Most importantly, the access based on the role within the system. So I hope that that has been helpful for you. Please reach out to us at your convenience if you have more questions, and hang on. And I do see one other question. Is there a similar inspection tool for laboratories, surveys, and fire safety? And Inspect is available for any type of inspection. You can simply communicate with me directly to provide me with your checklist, and I'll work with you to set up a program. We showed information today based mostly on shop safety inspections, but it's being used across the UC system for medical center safety round inspections, lab safety inspections, device inspections like aerial lifts and AEDs, et cetera, fire safety, you name it. Anything that's got a checklist we can include in this product. So thank you, everyone. We hope you have a great day, and we thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be in touch with follow-up from today's call. Thank you.
To find out how you can use our products in your organization, contact Risk and Safety Solutions.